Alan,
I'm Rahana.
and today we have Alex. Alex Arredondo.
Hi.
Hello, Alex.
Hello there. Hello there.
Uh,
Thank
Hi.
you for having me.
yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do with film real quick. You're a filmmaker, right?
Yes. So I'm kind of all over the place. I write, direct, produce, edit, um, shoot. What else do I do?
Makeup.
I do special effects makeup, yes. That was actually my original love, so trying to get more jobs in that regard or in that realm. So
Is there anything you don't do?
sound. I do not do sound. I will seek out someone that's more qualified to do that.
All right. So before we jump more into that, can you tell us something fun, unique, about yourself?
So I can guarantee you that you have never heard my favorite dinosaur,
Okay.
and that will be the Carcharodontosaurus.
I, you're correct. Have never heard of that. What, tell me what it is in like Land Before Time detail.
Land before, so sharp. It's a sharp tooth, in Land Before Time speak.
Oh,
Um,
a
yeah.
tiger,
What?
a
No,
What?
shark-toothed tiger.
no, the
No.
T-Rex.
Oh,
It's like a, yeah. It looks something similar to a T-Rex, but bigger.
oh, oh gosh, that's
Yeah.
scary.
You need to
Why
watch
is
Land Before Time
Yeah.
again.
apparently it has been a long time.
I
The copy
guess.
that I had was on VHS. And when I say that, I mean the copy that I had like 3 years ago was on
Is it
VHS. So
is it Shark
There you
Tooth or
go.
Sharp Tooth?
Sharp tooth. Although the sign like the name behind or the meaning behind the name is shark tooth lizard. So kind
interesting.
of fitting.
Hmm.
Okay.
So I'm a
Um,
yeah, I was that kid back in the day that loved to learn about dinosaurs. Still do sometimes.
Huh.
that's fun though. I like that. I have
Well,
a
yeah.
little cousin who really loves dinosaurs, and I think it's so cute. Like it's something fun that's also very educational. And not everything that kids like to learn about and like to do these days is educational. So I think that's really cool. Um,
Yeah, you're telling me.
that's very neat though. So kind of jumping back to what we were talking about earlier, you do everything. Uh, but let's kind of start from the beginning. You said that your initial love was doing special effects makeup. Um, can you kind of tell us how, like, what made you fall in love with that, and um, like, how did you get into it? Like special effects to what degree, and what have you done with that before? Because that's really interesting.
Yeah, so the first movie that was very special effects makeup heavy was the first movie that I ever saw was introduced to was An American Werewolf in London.
Mm.
And if you've seen that movie, you'll know why that made such a gigantic impact on me. After watching the movie for the first time, I went into the special features section of the DVD, which I always do for every movie. And I learned about this guy named Rick Baker, who was a makeup effects artist, and I just watched him do this stuff behind the scenes, and I'm like thinking to myself, this is something that could be a pretty cool career choice. Because initially, before that, I wanted to be a director because of, you know, some of the first movies I ever saw, and you know, adding that onto my repertoire, I think would have been, I feel like having that skill under my belt too has made me, I don't want to say well-rounded filmmaker, but it's given me a better like sense of how long things will take in terms of that department and
Hmm.
what people need and whatnot. But yeah, originally when I saw that film, that was the that was like the one thing I wanted to do with my life is be a special effects makeup artist.
Hmm.
Wow.
And to a certain
Has,
extent, I'm kind of at that point, but
for sure. Has that also kind of given you a bigger love, I guess I'll say, not necessarily like a siloed love, but
I'm sorry,
oh,
you cut
has
out a little bit on my end, unfortunately.
that's okay. Um, has that led to I'll rephrase it. Has that led to, maybe kind of sci-fi fantasy things that can take some really creative special effects makeup being sort of some of your favorite genres? Or do you not
Yeah,
necessarily have a favorite genre to play in?
I would say for a while there was that branching off into different genres, with Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, all the fantasy movies. There was a period where that was kind of a big obsession of mine, just being able to see these characters brought to life on screen.
Mhm.
But then I started getting into horror films, and that became my genre.
Yeah. So both to
So
watch
I'd say
and
that's probably
to
the thing.
film?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's my big genre right now. So maybe one day we'll go into the sci-fi route, but for right now, it's just sticking with horror.
For sure. I mean, you could do a horror sci-fi, you know,
Hmm.
just alien it up.
I've been toying around with that idea. Yeah, it's gonna be really expensive.
Yes.
But
Do you have a favorite horror film?
oh man. Oh gosh, I have to think about that one. It fluctuates every, feels like
Hmm.
every month there's a new favorite film.
Yeah.
Um, oh man,
And it's a hard question in
you
general, I
really
think,
got me
for
thinking on that one.
filmmakers.
Right. I'd say with winter coming, The Shining. That is a film that I
Mm,
always find myself gravitating towards to
Hmm.
adding that eerie isolation. My viewing just enhances that experience for me.
mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That makes sense.
Right. Yeah, The Shining has been
Uh,
like
but
mimicked and done over again by so many other films too.
Mhm.
Like even like The Substance recently had like
oh yeah,
homages to The Shining.
The Substance. What a great film.
So what was kind of your start? What really got you into it? Each kind of part, like you mentioned the makeup part and how you kind of got into that, but when did you start like actually applying that either in your own films or someone else's?
So for the makeup aspect, I actually, I would practice in my room and, try out different things and you know, I'll- I try to scare my parents every once in a while. I'd be like, "Oh, I got a cut on my neck or something like that." And my mom was an EMT, so she'd be
Oh.
like, "That's way too high. You don't know what like the blood looks too orange."
Hmm.
Dang it. Um, but yeah, no, if there's ever a film I'm writing and directing and there's ever a call for special effects, I'll usually try to do it. It can be very, very tedious, especially when there's a million other things to do on set.
Hmm.
Um, But for the first couple of short films I made, I had Ben Gersh, really good friend of mine, do my special effects makeup. Really talented artist. We got along beautifully, and just it felt like two kindred spirits for connecting in that moment for
Nice.
each film. So
Hmm.
um, he'd be the next go-to if I'm ever unable to do the makeup for my own film.
Hey everyone, we've got 20 plus episodes up for you now on our Patreon with lots of fun chats, some really great guests.
Yeah, and join for free and get extra episodes for as little as $5 a month. You can join in the link in the show notes. Check us out at patreon.com/film and beyond. We were both at Twin Cities Con. There was one booth that had like a bunch of like masks and things made out of molds and not sh I
Saw that.
yeah, I think you saw that with the
Oh,
Star Wars stuff
it was
and
so cool.
yeah, I think one was like from was it Willow or something? I forget what, but just one of the skull masked guys sort of thing. Um, have you, I guess
Something.
when it, yeah, it also sounds like your mother has high standards for you as per usual as parents, just like, no, not good enough. Keep working on that.
That has to be
Yes,
helpful though.
yes, and she meant it with love. Like she wanted me to get
Yeah,
better, of course, and
Hmm.
she very much, she was very supportive of what I was doing, and
good.
um, not to make it sad, but unfortunately, she did pass away 2013, so
Oh,
Oh,
that's too
she's
so
bad.
no longer with
sorry.
us. Um,
Mm.
no, no, it's all good. Um, but yeah, no, just to see her reaction today would
Hmm.
be more priceless than anything because she had a very wicked sense of humor, and
Oh,
yeah, she'd make any type of joke out of any situation. So yeah.
Oh,
that's a good one. Yeah,
yeah,
that's good. Good to keep a
that's
sense of humor about
perfect.
things.
Yeah. So how did you
Oh, absolutely.
make your
And I feel like
way?
that's where my
Oh,
sense of humor. Oh, sorry.
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
No,
Well,
this
I
is
was just
about
adding that
you.
that's probably where my sense of humor comes from is uh it's so weird. But yeah, no, I'd say my mom has been a you know, big influence on, who I am and like sense of humor wise. I
Hmm.
get
Yeah.
from her. So that's all I wanted to add on that part.
No, absolutely, which is really wonderful. Um, so how did you get into filmmaking? Like, what was like that experience for you?
Are we going into the actual like film industry in Minnesota, or are we going way back to when I was two?
Just whatever your entry into the film world was. Like, how did it happen? Were you just discovered, or were you always just walking around with a camera? Did how did and then yeah, I mean, for sure, how did it happen here in Minnesota? Just all of it.
Right. So I'm gonna go way back to 1999 when, right, bold age of two. I
Could
watched
you repeat that?
which
We
were
missed that.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it all started at the ripe old age of two. I watched my two first films ever. Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which would be more appropriate for a kid, and then Jurassic Park for a 2-year-old, of course. I blame my
Yeah.
dad. Don't tell him that. Um, but it's weird because those two films have left such an impact on me that I have very little, like, I remember very little of that time.
Mhm.
But I definitely remember those two movies. I remember the little armchair thing that I sat on as a kid with, you know, my big wide eyes glued to the screen. So that's, I definitely remember that.
Mhm.
Um, but that was the introduction to film in general. Um, by the time I was in fourth grade, I kind of started to explore DVDs and, getting into the special features section of DVDs. And that's when I found the making of documentary for Jurassic Park. And that's when I
Mm.
learned who Steven Spielberg was. So
Huh.
hearing this guy talk about film and, you know, passion for it made me think about what I wanted to. Then there was in fourth grade, we had to do a book report. And you had to pick a significant figure in history, and sure enough, Steven Spielberg was on there. So I'm like, that one.
Yep.
Got an A on that report and everything. So I guess he played a big role in my decision to become a filmmaker as well. And that's weird because whenever I watch a Steven Spielberg film, I find myself getting hypnotized to a certain extent.
Mhm.
Like it could be the most bland subject matter, but still entertaining filmmaking. And it's like I'm still gonna have a good time regardless of what it's about. And I think just for a filmmaker to have that type of power is incredible. And I
Mhm.
think, yeah, just having him as one of my role models is, yeah, what a time. What a time to be alive with him around.
Oh,
For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So,
have you yeah, did you see like West Side Story and The Fablemans?
I haven't seen West Side Story, but I have seen The Fablemans, and that explained a lot of things. But
West Side Story
yeah,
was
I
really,
loved The
really
Fablemans.
lovely.
But I heard as well, I gotta check. I'm so behind on some of his work, but I gotta check it out. But
It's hard. There's so much out there today. It's like impossible
no
to stay
kidding.
up to date on all the things that look amazing. So,
I work at a movie theater for crying out loud, so I'm at the source.
oh, well, so then how did that transition happen from loving film and admiring Steven Spielberg so much into you making your first film, or maybe assisting or being on film set for someone else's film, if that happened first?
So you did cut out a little bit, but I'm gathering.
Sorry.
I think I know exactly how the question went down. So
Okay.
I got the bare essentials.
Okay.
Um, it actually started when I expressed my interest in filmmaking with my grandpa. Funny enough, because he worked with a guy named Nathan Block at
Oh,
McDonald's in 1991. So they were really good friends back in the day. They still are, of course. Every time we get together, it's like not a single day has passed since that time.
Who is this again?
Uh, Nathan Block.
And who?
He was the first one I met in the my
Well,
grandpa
oh, with your
his
Jesus.
grandpa.
grandpa. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought you said. I was like, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, no, grandpa, my dear grandfather, got to give him credit for that. He connected me with Nathan, and we met up for dinner one night, and it was like again two kindred spirits meeting. I, got along with him so easily, and he invited me to so many of his sets as a PA, and just getting to know him has been a real pleasure.
That's awesome. So then did he kind of help you as you were wanting to maybe start your own first film?
Yeah,
Or
actually, I remember the day that we talked about it because we were at his house sitting on his porch and we were talking about Z Fest and I'd expressed some interest in wanting to make one. He
Mhm.
says, "Well, why not? Why don't you make one? I'll produce for you." I was like, "Really?" My eyes widened and I was like, "This isn't gonna work out." That voice in the back of my head was like, "This isn't gonna go follow through."
Mhm.
We cut
Right.
to January 21st and we're on set already with the whole crew ready to go. And I'm like, holy crap, we're doing it. I think that's when the realization kicked in that I'm making a movie.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah,
Oh,
and then ever since then,
Which movie?
it's just been kind of, oh, this would be the doll for
Okay.
2021, 2022.
Okay.
My years are
Nice.
all old.
Yeah, 2022 it looks like.
very nice.
Good times. And Rihanna, you were about to say something. I'm sorry.
I was actually about to ask the same question. I was curious which movie it was.
Yeah, I need filmmakers to say their films, not just say about their films. Let us know.
Right.
Yeah.
The doll. Yeah, that was good. And
Again, first time on the podcast.
no, you're
Oh yeah.
fine. Just and it had Lee in it, right?
It did.
You
It did.
t talk about that, working with these actors.
So Lee, I've worked with Lee a couple of times, but I haven't gotten to know him all that
Mhm.
well until the project before the doll. And I'm sure as everyone else knows, Lee's a sweetheart. And I mean that in the most endearing way, of course.
Mhm.
So when we put up a casting call for the character, this big hulking father figure, Lee was one of the first people to reply to it and say, I'm in. And like, sweet, awesome.
Mhm.
Um, and then for the mom and daughter characters in the film, I wasn't too, specific on what I was exactly looking for.
Mhm.
Um, but I think the one thing that was kind of in the forefront of that was it would be ideal if they were a mom and daughter duo instead of just a random 30-year-old with another, 10-year-old. Uh, and yeah, then we get, oh crap head.
Sorry, you're kind of cutting out, in and out there. Okay, try now.
But yeah, then Sonia and Henley Bushek applied for the casting call, and immediately meeting them, it was meant to be. These guys, they were so professional and so sweet to work with, and you know, in hindsight, I could not have seen anyone else playing those characters. And
Mhm.
there's not a whole lot to chew on with those, or a whole lot to chew
Mhm.
on in that film, but the way that I see it, they took what they had and they made more to chew on. So again, more reason to think that there's no one else that could have played those characters better than that whole cast.
Which is great. I mean, that's what you hope for, and as a filmmaker, is that the cast will really bring it to life and add so much to the characters in the story. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that was 2022. Can you tell us,
Yes, it was.
what you've done since then? I mean, you mentioned you do so many things. Um, so
Uh,
what is kind of like your path been, and what, maybe a little bit of like what you recently have done or have going on right now?
Certainly. Um, After the initial run of the doll at Z Fest, I was plotting out the next moves. Um, talks of a feature film came up. Um, idea, just idea brainstorming for the next short film. A short film for the 50th year, but that was around the time when I hit a really bad writer's block,
Hmm.
and I had time was running out, and I had to get a script ready to go, and yeah, the movie was called The Last Drop. I wasn't at my best directing wise, and I feel like one of these days I want to take that movie or take that script and remake it with the things that I know now. Um, but that was for the 50-50. We did come out with some awards for that one, which I'm really proud of. Um,
Nice.
and then the third film after that was more the transition of knowing, taking my editing skills to a whole new level. Um, Vittles, that
Mm.
was my submission for Z 23, which at the time, that was my baby. That was my pride and joy. And, you know, uh, but I gotta say that film, there are some problems with it initially with the writing on my end, but I think all in all, it's the way that I saw it, and I can honestly say that that's the film that was in my head originally. So
That's
I can say that with the utmost confidence that that is one that I'm very most proud of.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that, I kind of just took a little bit of a break, kind of hopped on it, everyone else's sets, um, kind of toyed around with camera work and all that.
Hmm.
Um, actually, I got my Black Magic over here with a gimbal. And then trying to think what it's all a blur, you know. There's so much that happened in that span of time. It's like, holy cow,
Yeah.
what happened? Um, yeah, I think ever since that, I have been on various roles, editing wise, camera wise, producing wise.
Hmm.
I produced a 2-minute sci-fi horror film for my buddy Jorge.
Oh, fun.
Excuse me. I've actually been shooting Gail Palin's films. I shot Blackbird's Dawn and her most recent one that'll be coming out in this coming up Z Fest.
nice.
Very cool.
What's that
Um,
called?
that one will be called Ourselves,
Okay.
and it's a surreal metaphor for reconnecting with your inner child. And I
Mm.
think Gail really, oh gosh, this film ooh, she really, it's amazing to see the progress she's made since Blackbird's Dawn, and I think this will be a really great film.
That's awesome. Did she
Um,
write it and star in it?
she did. Yeah,
That's
she
awesome.
wrote, directed, and starred in it. So,
Oh,
and
wow.
I gotta say, big shout out to her for handling child actors. You know, the child actor that we had for the last day was already losing steam towards the, obviously losing steam towards the end of the day,
Hmm.
but it was just getting to the point where, you know, we were like, we gonna be okay? But
Yeah.
you know, Gael just knew how to talk to her and get the performance out of her, and it was like witnessing magic without seeing the behind the scenes of it. It was quite
Yeah.
beautiful, honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Um, in
exciting to
terms of what
see
I'm
that
working on
you
now,
can
just
do one for one year over year and see the progression from year to year with Gael, and then also maybe things that you wanted to try differently um,
Mhm.
behind the camera.
yeah, you know, and just being able to just kind of come back to various projects in different stages to see what I would want to do for certain competitions or just for whatever
Mhm.
reason, just try it out. You know, I feel very privileged to be able to do that and, you know, have my own gear, have my own equipment, my own camera,
Mhm.
and just pitch it to someone and say, "Hey, want to help out? We'll feed you." And, you know,
Yeah.
being able to have that DIY, yeah, having being able to have that DIY mindset is, I believe, very crucial in our
Right.
world. So,
But also, like,
yeah,
if you're
kind of,
close with your colleagues or friends in the network, you get to spend time with these people and that you like to spend time with, and then you create something in the process. So that's always a special thing too, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, they're
The
okay.
the journey, you
They're
know.
funny sometimes.
They're okay.
I
It's
see
not
how
like
it
I live
is.
with one of them.
Right, right.
Oh,
All the time.
oh
No.
yeah. All the time.
Yeah, I think about some actor friends and things like it's just like but 24/7 do that.
Yeah.
Um have you also helped out on Dana plus Shar, so that was you were very helpful in that helping
And
us
thank you
make
for having
that
me on
film
set for
possible.
that.
Well,
Yes, thank
thank
you.
you. You helped a lot. I mean, um, if I had the budget to support everyone, I would, but it's just like it is what it is. Like you said, DIY. You got to figure out creative solutions to make sure you can get as much as you want, especially in areas you don't know about, like makeup for me. Like that was
Mm.
my one of my weak points where it's like I have to outsource that. I have to do that. I can do this, that, and the other, but I can't do some of these other things, as good as someone else could.
Well, and for me, it's more, two things. One, I love doing this. This is like my hobby outside of
Right.
work.
Same here.
You
Hmm.
know, like just being on crew for someone's film is so much fun. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone has similar interests and whatnot, and being able to joke around with everybody, knowing the same like jargon and whatnot. It's just a fun environment to be in, and also just being able to help out feels amazing. And because I know that making films is expensive. We can't always dish out a couple $1,000 for a short film here or there. And, being able to just help out whenever I can is very gratifying. And, seeing the final results after everything's done is even more rewarding, knowing that I was able to help bring that together.
Right. Yeah.
So
It's that.
partially a selfish reason and a selfish like unselfish and selfish.
Yeah, it's always good to have more hands, especially like one day we had too many hands and it was just like, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't do anything on this day or something. It's like you have to kind of balance like what ne is needed for each day. And that's another lesson I took away from that one was just like, but I mean like the days you were there, like I think you were there day 1 and 3, right? I think it
I
was.
think so. I
I
want to say
well,
yes.
at least part of day. Well, whatever. Yeah. You were there at
Something
some
like that.
point.
I
Yeah.
was there.
It happens.
Um, there are pictures.
There's
Uh,
evidence. There's
yeah,
evidence.
he was there for part of the day. But yeah, and then being able to work around like other people and just seeing you guys, I've seen you guys also work together on other projects, like some of these other people too, and just kind of neat to see that. It's like, oh, that's part of our team there, or. So yeah, it's a good way to also network with other like-minded people, hopefully.
Hmm.
So
And I think I've also developed the mentality of if there's too many people on set, I will try to find a way to make myself useful no matter what. If it's just running, go for this, go for that type of job, or helping out with makeup or helping out with lights, no matter what, I will always try to find some way to make myself useful and be as helpful as I can without getting in the way.
right, right.
Hmm.
Yeah, just especially load in, load out. That's where you need the help.
Oh yeah, all hands on deck at that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice that we didn't have to move production after day 2, really. So,
There you go.
talk about like you kind of mentioned what you're doing next or what's coming up, but you did hint at a feature film. Is that something you're working on or working on with someone, or can you even say anything about it? I don't know.
Not to give too many, not to give anything away really, but yeah, no, no, I'm not under any NDAs. But you know, it's more just whenever I feel the motivation to get on, working on those feature films.
Hmm.
I have a couple that are in the gelling process.
Yep.
The outlining for me is probably the most enjoyable. It's writing the darn thing that's just like
Yeah.
pulling
Yeah.
teeth.
That's where it
Like
helps to have a partner,
writing a
I
feature
think.
film is significantly different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Exactly. And I've talked with Gael because she's also a writer. She's getting into writing,
Uh-huh.
and I've read some of her stuff, and I gotta say she's pretty good. So if you ever need a writer, I know a person.
Okay. Nice.
Love that.
but yeah, no, I've got a couple of feature films I'm currently outlining right now or rehashing.
Hmm.
Um, Various short films that we're working on. Guile and I are actually working on one together for Z Fest. Um, Obviously a horror film.
Hmm.
Mm.
Uh, but more just getting just more a lot of scripts that are being set up for next year for 2025. Some for Z Fest, some for just
Oh,
whatever other competitions are out there,
yeah,
Hmm.
just some,
and some for just the fun
not
of it,
one,
I
some.
mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Just a
mean,
few.
gotta keep
and
busy.
they're
12,
and
13.
it's all for, yeah, exactly. I can't have one type of food on my plate. I have to have multiple. But
Yes.
yeah,
Get
no, I mean,
hungry at
again, this
Z-Fest
is
time.
all
I get it.
exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, it's all for the fun of it. Again, this is my way to decompress after a long day. Is just sitting down at a computer
Hmm.
and typing, or coming up with some, inspirations, or working on anything film related in general is just my way of relaxing.
Right.
Hmm.
And I've had people come up to me and saying, "Hey, just kind of take it easy a little bit here. You don't want to burn yourself out." And I tell them that exact same thing. This is my way of relaxing a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, there have been times where I felt it, especially with the writing.
Yeah.
Um, just writing is such an isolating experience, and
Yeah.
Hence
sometimes
The
it's
Shining.
gratifying. Yeah, pretty much that typewriter, man.
Yeah.
Repeat, repeat. Um, I'd say that's probably my biggest struggle is writing. Other than that, everything being on set, being able to have my camera on hand, ready to go, just test things out is such an amazing experience. So much fun. And then, being able to work with everybody and
Yeah.
have fun while doing it
Right.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm so
Well,
thankful for it.
Alex, how can people find you or connect with you, get in touch with you, follow your work? Where are you at? What are your, if you have socials or anything, plug your stuff.
Uh, People want to talk to me. Uh, uh, um,
He's like, don't.
I'm all over the place, really. Leave me alone. I am on Instagram. Um, I am on Facebook. That's I have a YouTube. Barely have uploaded anything in the last couple of years, really. So everything from college to Vittles is up on there. I
Oh,
know
nice.
for the last drop is not on there, which, the reason being is because I want to remake that one.
Hmm.
Um, YouTube, Facebook, that's even worth putting out there. Instagram.
Is it all your name or different things?
Oh gosh, what's my
That's okay. Don't worry. If it's too
hand
much a struggle, we'll
handle? Yeah.
we'll add it to the show notes.
Yeah.
See,
Okay.
there you go.
All right. So, Alex, last question. This is the big one.
Oh boy.
What do you want people to remember most about you?
Wow.
And action.
I, I would like people to remember me most for willing to be on their set to help out, regardless of pay or regardless of any incentive. Being, again, there, I just love doing this stuff. I love helping out wherever I can and being in that environment to spark creative juices. If there's ever a film, if there's ever someone that needed something in terms of, hey, I need a writer, I need a director, I need
Mhm.
this, that, whatever. I'm I'm confident enough to say that I'm able to hop in a role.
Mhm.
May not be good at it immediately, depending on what it is. If it's like audio, then give me about an hour to figure everything out. But, with a camera or with makeup, anything like that, I feel
Mhm.
I would, it's just, I love doing that stuff. I would do it for free if, I do it for free, and I'm
Mhm.
happy to do it for free as well. It is nice to get paid, of course, but you know, I know that that's not always a likely scenario, and so I want people to know that I am very open to helping out wherever I can, however I can,
Mhm.
and just being able to develop more connections in this community.
Mhm.
Nice.
Very supportive. I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and being on the podcast. This has been really wonderful,
Yeah.
getting to know you a little bit better. And
Thank you
to
for
all
having
of
me.
our, yeah, absolutely. To all of our viewers and listeners, this has been Film and Beyond.